You don't need 20 plugins for a pro vocal sound. You need 5 specific steps. Today, I'm giving you the exact way I used to build a vocal chain from scratch for artists like Lana Del Rey, Jaden Smith, Avicii, or even Post Malone. By the end of this video, you're gonna stop guessing and start treating your vocals with intent. We just crossed 2,000 subscribers on this channel, so thanks a lot for the support. And now, let's get to work. We need to start at step 0. If your signal is too low or clipping, no plugins is gonna save you. Before anything, you need clean gain and a solid signal. It's a must if you don't want to spend hours fixing and overworking your vocals. So get close to your mic and make sure you treat your room. A good vocal recording should sound open and clear, not muddy or muffled without any plugin on it. For example, listen to this raw vocal.
Laughing in the rain, your hand brushed mine, I felt the flame.
If the vocal sound is harsh or muffled at the source, you're not setting up yourself for success. So if that's the case, go back and get it right at the source. There's a lot of misconception that raw vocal should sound bad and not polished, but it should actually already sound good and almost be able to be placed in a mix. So now that you have a decent recording, tuning is the first thing that should go on your chain. Whether you use Autotune or Melodyne, it goes first. It needs the cleanest signal possible before you start mangling the dynamics. Step 1, the leveler. If you didn't record through a hardware compressor, and my guess is not, as most home recording artists don't, your vocal is probably spiky. So in order to even out the performance, you want to have a compressor at the top of the chain. You want to use a moderate to fast attack speed to make sure you control the dynamics, to make the vocal more even and more controllable. We're not looking for vibe yet. We're just catching the peak so the rest of the chain doesn't have to work so hard. Think of this as leveling the floor so the rest of the house sits straight. Next, we shape the tone. With your favorite EQ, low pass the low end rumble, cut the mud in the low mids, and add some presence and air. This is a basic EQ curve that you can use on most everything, and you will see professional engineers use and abuse. The trick to filter out the lows on your vocals is to listen alongside another instrument. You want to make sure you filter out about up to a spot where the crossover overlaps with one of your bass instruments or any other instrument that provides low end in your mix. If you want a bit of a warmer tone, grab a wide Q filter right above your crossover and boost right there. This is a great way to add warmth without overwhelming the low end in your mix. Once the tone is right, I add a second compressor. It pins the vocal so it stays locked and forward in your mix. If you're working on more of a pop or rap track, you want to go with a very fast attack. On the other end, if your song is more of a ballad or chill, you want to keep things a bit more dynamic and slow the attack down. In that case, you want to avoid having the vocal sound overcompressed and pumping. So in general, slow the attack down for a smoother compression. So remember, the EQ is the color and the second compressor is the frame that holds it there. There are many different types of compressor that will affect the tone and color, but using the same concept, you can pretty much use any kind of compressor and apply it to your vocal. If that's something that interests you, I can do a video on different styles of compressors for vocals. Let me know in the comments and I'll work on it. Last thing on your dry chain is the de-esser. All that compression and high end you just added are gonna make the S and T pop out and become harsh. So that's why having the de-esser at the end smooth things out and control the sibilance. One way to know if you're de-essing too much is your singer is gonna start sounding like they have a lisp. If you get to a point where you feel like your de-esser is working too hard, you might have to manually get in and clip gain down those S's or those T's to get them under control. Now for space. Stop putting reverb directly on your vocal track. Set up a single aux send from your vocal instead. Keeping things simple is always best. You don't need separate sends for each effect, as most effect plugins these days have an input control. I use a short reverb for depth, a long reverb for emotion, and a simple time delay. An extra pro move I like to do here is using an extra aux for an extra widener or distortion. This gives you a massive 3D sound that stays clear because it runs parallel and does not clutter your main signal. Since you're building a vocal chain, it's fine to have things set in a specific way and adjust them for different sounds or production. Having all those available at your fingertips Makes things really easy to try, see if you like it, if you like the vibe, if it works to the specific production. Now for the specifics, for my short reverb, I like using a 30 milliseconds pre-delay with a 0.8 to 1.3 second decay time. For long reverb, I like using something like a spring reverb actually, or a hall. For a pre-delay, a decent starting point is around 75 milliseconds to give that space. If I'm using a spring reverb, I will use a decay time of 3 to 4 seconds. For the delay, make sure it's synced with the tempo, and I like using a stereo delay with a half note to the right side and a quarter note on the left side. This is great to create that extra motion and vibe to your track. For that extra widener, I like using a Soundtoys Microshift, and for distortion, I like using something like a Soundtoy Decapitator. Recording, tuning, leveling, shaping, control, cleanup, space. That's the vocal chain blueprint. If you want to try this exact vocal chain for Pro Tools, I'm gonna make it available in my shop for the price of a coffee. Honestly, I need the caffeine. Again, thank you so much for the 2000 subs. If this helped you, hit the like button, tell me what's your favorite compressor, and I'll see you on the next one.